I'm going to yield the floor to Mr. Cardone, because he's my boss, and he's got a few things he wants to summarize. It's not on the overhead, but we will include it in the print version and the online version to follow.
All right, I just wanted to give you some numbers. We've heard 100 people were part of the research project. And I'm sorry we don't have a slide, but anybody who needs it can just get to us, and Mike McCarthy will make sure that you have it. And I apologize for the technology problems that we did have today, but we started off with 100, and we have 91 that either have been through the program or are still in some form of job search. The 9 that we had before that no longer are in it, we had 5 that dropped out. We had 1 that moved out of state, 1 that took ill, in fact, seriously ill. And there were 2 others that I frankly felt were not being serious about their work here, and we made changes on it. So the base is 91, not 100. As of today, 57 are employed, amounting to about 60, almost 63% are employed. We have 6 more that employment offers are pending, and we say that because they had at least a second positive interview. And in a couple of cases, they'll be called back for a third, but we call them pending because they are really down to one of the finalists. We have 12 others that are in training, where even after they went through all the aspects of this program, it was clear that they needed some other credential to open other possibilities for employment that right now we just could not access for them. Most of them are in a healthcare-related credential building program. And we have 16 that are in job search, so that they are still going on interviews and still moving on. Now keep in mind that we have, this was done in 5 cohorts, and the first one graduated back in November, so the last cohort didn't finish until the end of December. So the job search side of it does take some time, and it's not just a case of our arranging to go to an employer. We wanted them to have as many interviews as possible, and it's working out. So as of this moment, we have 18 of the folks who were as part of the subsidized employment part of this thing have now completed it and were hired by the companies. About half the companies hired directly, so somewhere around 27 of the 57 people didn't require any subsidy at all. So far, guys, we're batting 1,000. No company dismissed anybody during the subsidy period. No one's been that was hired directly has been in any way discharged or dismissed or disciplined or anything of that sort. So far, the results are certainly validating that when you have programs that address the emotional needs that are created by long-term unemployment, understand the terms of a buyer's market, and deal with the motivation building kinds of exercises, that they make a difference. There is no question in our mind. So the numbers are very, very impressive. Mike?
So the next step, we're winding down just before the Q&A question, but I wanted to talk about replication and adaptation of this model to other communities and other parts of the country. And we looked at it and we've studied it and we've worked really hard at trying to find out how can this be replicated. A lot of this is based on or contingent on funding, and in this case we were able to secure funding from private sources. So we've come up with a model that we think is interesting and also available to everyone. Joe's mandate to me was, I want everyone who's on the call and everyone who wants to do something to have a role in this strategy. So in so there's three areas of replication: awareness, education, and technical assistance. And we'll go to the awareness first. And this is where Joe talked about the roundtables and hosting the roundtables. We really want to bring a heightened awareness to the forefront of the 99ers plight. And we believe that if the first step, and we urge you, and we're going to suggest to you, and we're going to coach you, is to create these roundtable discussions at your local community with both businesses, governmental, social service, with providers, etc. To have a conversation, as Joe said, with these 99ers, to open up a dialogue and to start somewhere. We believe that if we can start small and build a social network around this idea and connect all the dots, that we can very quickly have a lot of spots on the ground, if you will, running or having these roundtable discussions. A lot about this is about identifying what else is working in the community. We know that this works for these folks. We know there's certain elements that are interesting and unique about this model, but we also understand and recognize that there are other things that may be at work and at play that could help the folks that we're trying to work with. So part of the replication under the awareness is to build a movement. And we're going to be providing, through direct contact with our offices, information about how do you do this? How do you open up the roundtable? How do you create that buzz? How do you create that movement within your particular geography? The second part of the rollout is education. And as a WID, we're fairly, we believe education is key to lots of happiness. We are in the process of rolling out, and I have various descriptions of a few of the webinars that we've put together so far, of a series of webinars aimed at scaling the model or key components of the model. And we think that these educational webinars, which will be fee-based, a modest fee to cover our costs, and I will apologize, we will not be using this provider again because of the poor phone quality and other circumstances. But we will be providing a webinar service to folks who are interested in getting more hands-on with the various components of this. The other piece will be to host regional conferences with key providers and communities, and we are in the conversation with a variety of funders to help us support that effort. So that is another kind of to be continued, but understand that a lot of the work is still ahead of us. So I'm going to go quickly through the next few slides, and just to give you a sense of what those little workshops are all about. That data and design, and again, this will be helping folks kind of design from inception to launch their model and what that looks like on the ground. And we're going to work with career teams, and ourselves. And there's also takeaways that we built into these modules so that you can kind of have tools to start running with it. And we kind of arrived at $80 based on market study and ability to pay. And we will offer a discount for folks who participate in more than one or more module. The next module is about engaging employers. And we'll focus on strategies to be used to both identify those employers, sell them on the program, and really give them all the information they need to make accurate and wise decisions about hiring our customers. One of the tools that we use is this program called OneSource, where we're able to go in and identify a list of funders and/or business partners or business organizations in geographical areas. So, for example, we can put a needle on a map and say we want to put how many Fortune 500 companies are in this community, or what are the top 10 employers in this community? What do their sales look like? What kind of business are they in? So we're going to be looking to give away or to supplement that source with providing folks those kinds of takeaways that are actually going to implement the thing. The next one is about finding the money, and again, finding the money is an important one because a lot of the work that we engaged in on this was privately funded. We have, again, capability in our research institute to identify funders, corporate and foundations, as well as those individuals. So we have a set proprietary database that we're using. It's a third party, but we're able to go in and say, I want to know everybody who's got high net worth in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we can generate a list. And that would be sort of the beginning of an engagement to get private dollars that are so needed for this type of a program. The next one is behavioral health, and we're going to have our folks in behavioral health consultants again talking about the behavioral health issues, and what kind of tools and screening they did, and what kind of just more hands-on. And we envision these being about 2 hours in length. The third one, the final one, is about technical assistance around evaluating your program, and our friends from the Harvard Business School Club of Connecticut are going to host that. The final rollout, if you will, is really customized technical assistance. And we realize that folks are starting at different points, whether you're a community college or you're a educational provider or you're a workforce entity, whether you're a church. And we saw a lot of different diverse groups. We saw employers on the calls. We saw, wherever your kind of starting point is, we're here to provide you some technical assistance on a case-by-case basis and really custom and tailored to your independent needs. And we will wrap staff and financial resources into this effort while we go out and seek and leverage federal, state, and other funds. We're looking to both cost share and look to grants to underwrite this opportunity. I will say that we are in conversation with a number of foundations to look at scaling this model larger and in focused areas. So we will certainly, as that becomes more apparent to us and those relationships are solidified, we will be sharing that information with our newfound partners. At this point,